Good morning, my dear students. I hope you all are keeping safe and healthy and taking all the important precautions during this pandemic. My name is Abha and today I am here to share a story with all of you. The name of the story is Alex and James Search for Water. So once upon a time there were two artisans, Alex and James. They both were very hardworking and they made pots, pans and other beautiful sculptures out of mud. Alex was very hardworking in the sense that he was very focused. When he took a task, he gave all his time and concentration to that one task. And he was always successful in giving out his artwork before delivery time. Whereas on the other hand, James was not that focused. His one bad habit was that he could never say no to anybody. In that way, he ended up being buried under workload. And he was not focused at all. He had so many things to do all day. And he always delayed the delivery of his artwork. There were so many times when Alex suggested James not to do that. He told him so many times that he should focus one thing at a time. But again, James was adamant. He would never listen to him. One day, a group of tourists visited their village and a girl visited Alex's shop. Once she spotted a beautiful elephant which was there at his shop and she really liked it. She asked him, "How much does this cost?" So Alex said, "Well, it costs 2 silver coins." The girl was surprised. She said, "That's really cheap. I mean, considering the amount of hard work and effort that you've put into, you are charging a very low price." Alex told him that they were living in a village and the people there were not that rich. That's why he always charged a reasonable cost so that everyone could afford what they would like. The girl understood his point. But then she suggested that Alex should actually travel to the other side of the village where there was a city. And if he carried his artwork there, the people there would actually give him a higher price and a price that he deserved for his hard work. Alex pretty much liked the idea. Then she gave him the 2 silver coins and took the elephant. That night, Alex visited James and he told him all about the day, what had happened and what the girl said. James too was happy with the suggestion, but he asked that they were living in a very big desert and how were they supposed to travel far off to the other part of the desert to the city? How would that be possible? So Alex told him that there are so many caravans and carts that move from one side to the other side of the desert, and actually there were a few caravans that were moving tomorrow morning. James was very much happy and he said, "Okay, fine, then tomorrow it is. We should move to the other side of the city and see what is the response of the people towards our artwork. Maybe we become more rich." So then, that night, both Alex and James slept peacefully. The next morning, they hired a caravan and they filled it up with their artwork, pots, pans, sculptures, food and loads of water. When they started off with their journey, they both were really hopeful and excited. They talked about their different business plans, the amount of money they would make, the new skills they would learn, and carried on. The caravan stopped at lunchtime in the afternoon and at night for dinner. But the second day, the scorching heat made it a bit difficult for the travelers. They couldn't bear the heat of the sun. They all spoke among themselves that how could it be so hot? Is it always like this? And the bigger problem that came was that the water they were carrying was coming to an end. Because the water that they were carrying was in the mud pots, And because of the heat, extreme sunlight and heat, the water was getting evaporated at a very quick rate. That night, all the travelers, when they settled down for dinner, they discussed among themselves that how would they carry on traveling in the desert for 2 more days, because it would take them 2 more days to reach the city. They had very limited amount of water. So then Alex suggested that they can actually, plan and start digging the desert if they wanted water. The people agreed with Alex because they had no other option. So the next morning, they all planned and spotted a place where they started digging. They kept on digging and digging for hours. But there was no result. They did not find any water. They had started digging at sunrise and it was almost midday. The sun was up and it was extremely hot. And then they decided to rest for a while. Alex and James continued to dig. After a few hours, even Alex gave up and he told James that even they should settle for a while and rest and maybe continue digging in the evening. But James did not stop. He told him, it's okay, if you want to rest you can, but I'll continue to do so. Alex went and he slept. After a few minutes, a traveler came near James and he told him that digging at this spot was no use and he should actually dig at some other place. He took him there and directed him to dig. James started to dig and he continued doing for a few hours. He had not found any water. And then there was another person who came and he told the same thing. He said, see, you've been digging here for a very long while, but you didn't find any water. So I will tell you where you will find it. And then James followed him and started digging at the new place. Now this continued on and on. The entire area was filled with holes, but none of them was dug properly. Why? Because James had a habit of not saying no to anybody. When Alex woke up in the evening, he saw that the entire area was filled with holes. He went up to James and asked what he was doing. James explained him. Alex was very annoyed and he told him, see, this is what I've been telling you all the while. You need to focus all your concentration towards one task and not at everything. The results are in front of you. And then he called all the travelers who'd been sleeping to help and dig at the first hole that they all were digging since sunrise. They kept on digging and digging and digging, and yes, the water was there. They all found loads and loads of water and they filled all their pots and drank water as much they could to quench their thirst. Then they all filled the pots with water and kept them in their caravans, which was ample to travel for the next 2 days. After the 2 days, they reached the city. Alex and James sold their artwork, their sculptures at a very good price that they had not even expected. The people really praised and appreciated for their hard work and effort. Soon they settled in the city. They purchased a house, they learned new skills, and yes, they did become rich. But that was only through their hard work and effort. And James, he did learn a lesson. He understood how important it was to have a discipline in his professional life, to be focused at one thing at a time. With this, we come towards the end of today's story. My dear students, I hope you understood what this message this story gives us. Not only in our professional life, but even the small tasks that we do every day. It is very important that we do each and everything with all our hard work, our focus and concentration. Not only will it make us disciplined, but also give us a very happy and peaceful life. Thank you so much.